the more that you do it, the more you come up with favoured start positions, like a wide stance, but not widest. We're comfortable standing, aren't we? Well, unless we're uncomfortable standing, in which case you choose to where you're most comfortable. You know, so if someone's you know, in a cast, there's no reason to not move. If someone's you know, in their bed and they can't get out of the bed, then start in the bed. You know, start where you are, literally and figuratively. You know, start where you are, where you're most comfortable, and don't exceed that, because you're better off getting to the end and you didn't really push the boundaries too much, but you feel comfortable enough to go again tomorrow. And then that's how you begin. So we're going to start with the shoulders today, and then as I've stood here assessing my start position, I'm just aware of where my eyes are placed, what I'm gazing at. I'm aware of my breathing, what phase of breathing I'm in, and whether or not I'm moving from the waist or whether I'm keeping it still. But even if it's seemingly still, it's probably just moving back and forth, but it might not be turning from side to side. Yeah. So for example, now if I circle one arm, my waist is turning from the waist or just below the waist. But then if I do two arms, then my waist moves forward a little bit and then moves backwards a little bit. It rises up, lifts up a little and sinks down a little. Yeah, so I'm breathing. I may inhale and keep my gaze forward. I may exhale and turn my eyes to look behind me. Or I might just scan from one side to the other. I might really think about reaching, and then my waist lifts higher and turns more, or I might keep my arms quite loose and I'm staying relatively low. On one level, I'm just getting my shoulder joint and my trunk to turn and circle. So it's just about the joint moving through a big range of motion, hopefully. You might feel some restrictions, even some people will feel pain, but you know, this, if you do, then you just reduce the size of the circle, because it's really about nourishing the body and the various parts that are engaged. And the more awareness you have, if you pay enough attention, you'll notice that this, I might notate this as a shoulder circle, but actually the movement's the entire body, you know, from the tips of this hand, fingers of this hand, down to the ground and the front of the foot on the opposite side. You know, so the whole body's engaged. So we're trying to notice. So some people might do this and notice, wow, I feel quite restricted and tight in the abdominals or across the front of the hip. You know, shoulder feels fine. Or some people might move and feel that their spine gets extended and then it feels a bit uncomfortable, and it's because they've got stuck here. So then it's noticing that the spine lifts and the spine lowers. I'm not trying to keep my arm, my shoulder rigid. Well, my shoulder is, I'm not trying to keep my body rigid. This creates a bit more tension. Not that it's wrong, but we're just trying to move freely and feel unrestricted, rather than trying to aggressively move into the shoulder. So therefore, when I turn this way and move my head, there's less tension in this movement here than in this movement here. And I take notice of, as this arm moves, you know, what's this arm doing? I take notice of how the weight's shifting through my feet, you know, from side to side and from front to back. And I can think about how the hands moving and posturing. And as we go along, we just notice, you know, I might notice that my foot's turning out, and so if I find it's there, then I bring it back again. So you might start thinking that you've got a fantastic posture and alignment. I often do this, and you begin to move, and then you realise you've been kind of slouched and your chin's poking forwards, and then you kind of lift up and you feel like your posture and your alignment is improved, and then you feel it deteriorate and degrade, and then by the end of the sequence you might have found what feels really just right. Yeah, so we have this gaze stability, you know, we're really good at fixing on something, so I can keep looking forward to you at Ramsey, and then just turn my body and my eyes can stay forward. Equally, I can choose to look away from you and then come back to you. Yeah? Or even I can talk to you and then decide I'm going this way and then come back to you again. So when I'm moving in this way, my eyes are just scanning. They're not kind of, my eyes aren't jumping around, but my eyes scan from side to side. We do this all day, every day. You know, we might cross a road, or we might be looking for someone or something. You know, if I follow the aircraft up there, my eyes will follow. So to begin with, I'm just knowing that the air's going in, I'm breathing in, the air's going out, I'm breathing out. It's just as simple as that. I notice. Or if the breath's still and it's stuck in, I'm holding my breath, and then I let the breath go again. And we can move in or out of any phase of movement. I could circle my arm backwards with one single breath in, and then do another revolution as I breathe out. Or I could do the whole two, you know. Or I could lift up with one in as I inhale and lower down as I exhale. Or I could do one just holding my breath and then breathe out and do the other one. There's so many different ways, but just the main thing is just you notice that you are breathing. Because again, another observation is like, there's too much to think about. So just circle the arms. And then you think, oh, I'm bored of this. I've done this enough. Okay, well now I can start. Let's see what the pattern of breathing is like. I'm bored of this. What should I do now? Or think about where your eyes are going. You know, if when you go this way, the eyes are fixed, and when you go this way, the eyes shift. And just pay attention to, you know, why. You know, I can keep the eyes forward on this arm, but then do I feel tension here that just pulls my, or is it just a thing? It's just a distraction of some kind. So the more you repeat, the more you see. You know, and that goes through it, all aspects of everything we do. So you know, so if I've got a nice, you know, stable base through my feet, and my knees are straight, but they're not locked. My hips are not flexed, but at the same time, I'm not leaning too far back. I'm kind of in a neutral position. And so how does that change as I circle? And does it feel different when I circle to the right compared to circling to the left? You know, so you can choose any level. The hips are quite obvious, although you know they're not the most sensitive part of your body. That's why we reference the hands and the feet and the position of the face, because they are the most sensitive parts. But nevertheless, if I've got some restriction or some pain in the hip, like a lot of us do, then I might notice that it's easier to go this way. And we see it quite a lot because one foot will begin to turn out. Or a lot of people might even say that they're uncomfortable even getting into this feet parallel position. So I say, well, what would be the comfortable position? You know, there's nothing, it's just we can kind of regulate, we can observe what happens when the feet are straight, you know, how they drift, or whether we actually feel the tension. So I can feel my foot wanting to turn out at this point because of tension in the hip. It might just shift this way, and then we bring it back in again. Yeah.